Okay, everyone, we might as well get started. The meeting is being recorded so that it will be saved and then sent to members that were not able to come today. Perhaps we should start by doing what we usually do, which is go around and introduce themselves from the perspective of who you might be representing if you are representing a group. My name is Tom Brandeberry. I represent Los Amigos de Guadalupe.
Shirley Boydston. Oh,
Go ahead, Shirley.
Shirley Boydston on the promotion committee.
Sonia Ventura, I'm the Community Development Manager for Los Amigos de Guadalupe.
David Rodriguez, President of Guadalupe Cuanas.
Father Maceo Gonzalez with El Padrecito Ministries, and I'm on two committees, I think, Festival and Promotion.
Cool.
Garrett Matsura on the Festival Committee and representing the Guadalupe Business Association.
Liliana Cardenas, and I am the chairperson for the Festival Committee.
My name is Alma Hernandez. Oh, sorry. My name is Alma Hernandez, and I am on the Festival Committee as well. And I also wanted to introduce to you my intern, Catherine Bauer, who is also included in this meeting.
Hi, it's so lovely to meet all of you. I'm excited to be of assistance. Please feel free to reach out if you need anything, and I'm so excited to be working under Alma.
Welcome. Oh.
Go ahead.
Christina Hernandez from the Lions.
Anybody else?
This is Charlie Guzman, City of Guadalupe Recreation Department. Not on any particular committee yet, but I assume I'm going to consider all three of them.
Good for you. Thank you.
I didn't think Charlie had a choice. I thought he had to be on all three of them.
Yeah. Yeah, but let him think he's doing it voluntarily, you know?
Okay, Garrett, that's the last of your comments. Thank you.
Anybody else? I noticed Todd was on. Do you want to say hello, Todd?
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. Is that everyone? Okie doke. So I'm just going to kind of, I just put together this agenda like 5 minutes before. Generally, the agenda is about just going through the three committees and where they are at, and any other big questions that the group needs to be involved in as a group as a whole. So if there's nothing else to add to the agenda, I was going to bring up one subject matter and then go into the committee reports. So I was going to bring up whether we should be sending out a save the date. Pretty much right away for two purposes. One, to let the organizations and businesses know that we're going to have this event, and to contact the festival or parade committees, or to just tell the general public, get your calendar set for, you know, August the 8th, we're going to have a parade and festival. So I was kind of first thinking, how do people feel about that? And what kinds of things should be on the save the date?
We talked a little bit about that idea in the festival committee. We talked about putting, you know, the possibility of putting out a save the date. We didn't talk too much about content though.
I think I did have a question in regards to a save the date. Since the comité, who is this event sponsored by? Would it say Friends of the Community?
So my first instinct is that we haven't moved forward with an actual concept of sponsorship and whether there's a price associated with sponsorship. So I don't know if we could make that determination now, but I would have. I'm guessing that the promotion committee would be the one doing that.
Liliana Cardenas, el Padrecito, Alma Hernandez.
I can hear you calling out people's names or saying names. You might want to mute yourself. Okay. So I mean, it's all up. I mean, we could just put the date and just do a very simple save the date saying there's a parade and festival, August the 8th. One of the committees, I'm assuming the promotion committee, would make a decision of whether we were going to have actual sponsors and what would that sponsorship look like?
I have no idea, and you can't ask for sponsors until you know who's going to be active.
Tom, before we move on to sponsorship, Father Maceo, I think the save the date's a great idea. I think that's something we should do right away. I have no problem building a website, getting it out there. We talked about it at the festival meeting, even though it wasn't our place, but calling it Guadalupe75.com or whatever. And if anything, you can always get volunteers through that. So for example, I wouldn't commit ourselves to a parade because we don't have a permit to do that yet. But I think we're all committed here to doing something for the 75th anniversary of Guadalupe. We're going to have some kind of celebration, keep it very vague. We don't need to mention sponsors. What we can do though, and I wouldn't even go far as having people sign up for committees. At least for me, I think that can be kind of crazy making you have these different emails, etc. But just for further information, send your email here, your phone number, etc. We can create a contact form, at least that, but an immediate, blasting out, let people know we're doing something. Exactly what that is, we don't know, but we are going to celebrate that day. And I think we all agree that we're going to have food, we're going to have music and some vendors. I'm assuming we'll all agree that regardless of where that might be, we're going to do it. So if we can all agree just on some basic principles, I'm all for getting something out there and any kind of technology you need. I think I can, with God's grace, find a way to make it happen. So I'm in favor of that. Keep it vague, but at least immediately start letting people know that this is what's going down on that date. And we don't have to commit any particular time as well.
Since Tom has the list of the licensees in the city, it may have to come through him. I'm not permitted to have that list.
Oh, so the idea of save the date is to create some kind of a half-page PDF photo that says save the date, blah, blah, blah. And it goes out in every way which it can go out. So it can go out on the Facebook pages, it can go out on Instagram, it can go out on Los Amigos's interested parties list. The city has an interested parties list. And there is a list of businesses. So all of those things it can go out on, and it doesn't need to be one person, surely. It can go out to everyone and everybody in this room, and their organizations can send that save the date. The question is, if we create a save the date, then we can send that out in all different ways, and every organization can send it out on their list. And that way the whole community finds out about it.
So I agree with Father Marcel, not keep it, to keep it general, just because we don't have our, permits or, the agree of shutting down our Highway 1. But maybe if we're all agree to having some type of celebration and, not married to the idea of, focusing on getting a festival and parade, but if not, scaling it down to some type of just celebration.
Yeah,
Good
I mean, I
idea.
think the save the date should go out that way. I think that's right. I think very little. I mean, Jose's here. I think he joined us. And he may be able to give us an update on the permit process.
Good afternoon, y'all. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm in the process of completing the application. I started working on it yesterday. So I'm going to go forward with completing the application. As I mentioned to Tom, I called Caltrans and they said it's going to be 7 weeks out before we get any final approval of the permit. Having said that, I think we can. It's a bit of a crunch, but I think we can do it. So once I have the application completed, I'm gonna go over to the city and have the city engineer stamp it, and then I'll drive it to San Luis Obispo and go from there. In the meantime, I think I will be preparing the parade applications. I'm gonna revise the ones that Comité has, and then we can shoot them out as soon as we we get closer to I would say middle of July. We send out these applications so people can start applying for the parade. I mean, they're taking a risk, but hey, we got to do it, right? And I agree with they save the date. We need to let folks know that this is coming in, so that's going to happen. All right. Any questions?
The other thing about the save the date is we can send out more save the dates with more information once we have more information, like who's going to sponsor, if anybody's sponsoring. You know, we can always send additional out. I like the idea of Padre's concept of creating the web page, because I think having a central place where the applications are, you know, where the sign up sheet for volunteers are. I think the idea of having one central location is a good idea. How does everybody else feel about that?
Fine.
And you're okay with that, Padre?
I am. I would like to actually make a motion then, something concrete.
Yeah.
And hopefully get it seconded. Let's any final discussion of it. And that is, let's go ahead and move forward with the save the date, keep it very, very general. I'll create a website in regards to the event. And I'll also, I'll run the verbiage, the language through somebody here. Maybe that could be you, Tom. In other words, we want to keep it very general, a little bit of history, why we're celebrating, what we're going to commit ourselves to, and then someone can confirm it, and then we'll move forward and make it public.
Sounds good to me.
Father Maceo, as we talked about on Tuesday, just let me know when you have the domain name, and we'll get you set up with a WordPress site, and your guy can run with it. We can get you set up with the email addresses as well, or email address, whatever you want. I would suggest that we get a free account with MailChimp so we can do the bulk emails as we move forward with advertising. It's free if you have less than 2,000 people on your mailing list. So it's a way to do the promotions with the promotion committee, so you can push stuff out and not get dinged for spamming through a regular email account.
So I'll go ahead and throw into my motion that it'll be called Guadalupe75.com or .org.net, one of them or all three. Does anybody have any problem with that name, Guadalupe75.com?
None.
Or have a better name?
I think you get what name you can. That's the easiest. You know, generally website names are ones that are easy to remember, you know, and that sounds really easy to remember. Hopefully you'll be able to get it.
It was available on Tuesday. So
oh, cool. Right.
For I think $3 for the whole year. At least for the .com. I didn't check .org or .net. So
if it doesn't work, you could put Guadalupe at 75 if you needed to add something in there to make a change.
So can I
some
put
kind of variation on it? Yeah.
I went ahead and put a motion out there then. Guadalupe
Yes,
75. I'm going to move forward on keeping it very simple and vague. I'll run it through Tom, if that's okay, just to kind of get an approval there. and move forward. It'd be nice to have a second. Any final discussion of a vote?
I'll second that motion. Any discussion? The only piece I would like to add to that is I think maybe when you're ready for, you know, the final words, I think it can go to me, which is fine, and I don't mind doing that. But I think it should probably also go to the committee, the chair people, which is Liliana, Jose, and Shirley.
Got it.
Padrecito, I'll send you a sample format that I have in mind.
There you go.
So Tom, just to clarify, you want me to send this to all the committee chairs, is that correct?
Yes, and
Okay.
you can send it to me as well. I'll be happy to be involved in it.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, and let's leave it with all those in favor. If you could raise your hand or say aye.
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 Any nays, any noes? Okay, so it passes. Thank you for that. Okay, I don't have anything else other than that. So maybe we can go through it sounds like we've had some committee meetings, which is fabulous. So do we want to go through those committee meetings? I have them in order of festival, parade, and promotions. Do we want to go in that order? That would put Liliana first.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
All right, so yes, we met on Tuesday for about an hour and a half and discussed different topics that we had to go through about or items that we needed to think about for our festival. We have a few categories that we sort of discussion, right? So volunteers, having volunteers present for the event to help either set up, clean up at the end. And so entertainment was another topic we discussed, which was, you know, in terms of music, performances, location of entertainment, where we would have the stage, booths. We also discussed having, you know, food vendors, anything that will promote health, since we are really hoping, our committee was suggesting to go forward with the open streets component in order to have that SBCAG resources available to us. We also discussed having nonprofits. Location would be down Highway 1. So we basically looked at the route that Kent showed us. That was previously discussed a couple years ago, and a very extensive discussion had gone through about that route. So we figured we might as well go with that one as well. And then within Highway 1, accommodate larger agencies that might need more space. For example, the CHC, who would like to do, you know, blood pressure checks, glucose checks, and several other resources for our community, being able to identify locations for them. We also talked about sponsorship letters. If we are charging in order to provide entertainment, who would take on that sponsorship, which nonprofit would take that liability on for this event. And then we discussed about having a budget starting to get outlined for all these items. And if I missed anything, please let me know and we can add them, Garrett or Father or Christina.
For your festival, it's the same. It's going to be the same location as the parade, right? Down one. And at some point, the parade ends, and then the festival part all on the same street, and then the festival begins. Is that the idea?
Yes.
We talked about some different locations for booths and different locations of the festival itself. we had brought up the idea of really leveraging that centralized location of the gazebo and the memorial parking lot as kind of a main hub. We talked about the use of that open streets concept, the size of Highway 1 and the location of restaurants as a great draw. So taking advantage of what's right there. There was some discussion about why it does or why it does not make sense to use other locations like the parks, because it pulls away from that centralized location. And of course, all this is contingent on us getting that Caltrans approval. If we don't get that, well, we have to have plan B, and preferably have plan B planned out before it has to be considered. So it's more of a seamless, oh, we can't do this, then we'll just go this route instead of, having to go into panic mode or something like that. But in terms of booth location, entertainment location, that was primarily what we had talked about. Was really utilizing that centralized location.
So the booths would be, in essence, the booths would be like on Highway 1 on Guadalupe Street, and the entertainment would be in the parking lot where the gazebo is.
Both.
No.
Go ahead. I heard somebody say no.
Your restaurants would be along the sidewalks. The parking lot would be for your booth areas.
Okay.
This is on the assumption that the streets are open. That way people can cross back and forth. They could go to a restaurant, across the street and come into the parking lot area and go back across the street.
Right,
But
exactly.
But if it has to be closed, then you're going to have to limit it along the sidewalks and the whatever open space you can find.
Right. Go ahead.
I believe we also discussed the possibility of Plan B would be closing some of the city streets, mainly Olvera and maybe Obispo Street, which is not the preferred plan, but that would be a backup plan of closing some of the city streets, which would not entail getting a permit from Caltrans.
You wouldn't want to use Obispo, Jose. It's much too industrial.
So
even on Sundays.
Sorry, festival committee. Sorry, does anybody have any questions for the festival committee, or the festival committee have anything else that they wanted to talk about?
Yes, Tom, this is Father Maceo. I was there at the festival meeting, and one of the items that was brought up was the issue of insurance. I think that's a big item there in terms of who's going to take that long. And then basically, just to clarify here, assuming we get Highway 1, which I'd like to think we have a pretty good chance of getting it, I'd like to hope so, was we're going to keep it old school and keep what this city's been doing for a number of years now with the Fiestas Patrias Festival and Parade, whether it's a Christmas parade, start right around where we typically start and go down and plot ourselves there at the plaza, at the gazebo. It's just an ideal place. So at least from what I remember of the discussion, we're going to keep it as simple and old school as possible. It's been tried and tested. It's worked. Exactly where we place booths and what booths, I think that still needs to be talked about. But that was the idea, instead of breaking up and then moving to a park and moving whatever, so many amount of people over. So that, I think that was the idea.
And you don't know how much booth space you need, and whether for example, the parking lot is big enough for the booths, because you don't know how many booths you're going to get yet. You may need a lot more space. So I think that stuff is all kind of up in the air, depending on, you get out the save the date and you start getting people interested. Okay.
I think a conversation should start with the city, because they're the ones that are going to need to put the insurance on this. I can't see maybe another nonprofit would be able to have the insurance, but I would think the city would be the one that would be responsible for the insurance. And Lily, you probably would know better than me.
Well, Todd's on the call, so Todd, what's your?
I could contact our insurance provider and see what that entails for putting as an additional insured or something to that effect.
Okay.
You know, I could find out and see what that would cost and whatnot.
Can't understand that voice.
It was Todd Bowman, the city administrator.
Yeah, I'll just find out what that would cost and see. I can contact them if I have, you know, get specifics to the insurance provider.
Jose, who normally does the liability for the Fiestas Patrias event?
Sorry, I was muted. We go through insurance. We have our own insurance that covers the parade and for that specific weekend. And so we go through TWIW. It's on Main Street. We've been getting their insurance for several years. So that covers any type of accident and or if a horse gets loose and that type of thing.
So when we were discussing, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to ask if you had any idea of what the price was, just so we have an idea.
Well, normally that insurance, which is for actually the year round, but it focuses on the parade weekend, it runs about $1,000.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You can usually get a 1-day insurance coverage too at perhaps a smaller amount. They used to set up just a 1-day one. You didn't have to make it part of your whole organization.
Yeah, that's correct. I
And
think
you're talking of Tolman and Weicker.
it costs about $350 for the open streets one.
Yeah, but as Todd said, it can be added onto the city insurance, which would probably be less. So he can work it out. I'm sure he's done that several times.
So the reason why we also discuss sponsorship being a nonprofit is that if we are taking from, if we do apply a fee to booths, it should go for a nonprofit. So that way it could be managed with, along with the whole festival, the cost of the entertainment and anything else that might be needed for our festival component.
So you need a financial supporter, somebody, an entity that will be who the checks are made out to, and an entity that can write the checks to those that need to be paid. And they then would also be if the city couldn't do it, they would also be the insurer.
I'm sorry, I'm on a Zoom call. Could you possibly?
Correct, and people are more inclined to go with nonprofits. So that is the reason why we were discussing. And I know we also in our group, we talked about having something like on the website where people can download forms and have access to all these like vendor forms that we might have.
Right. So I can do a quick check with my board members and offer that if no other nonprofit in town is wanting to do it. But yeah, Los Amigos can do it, and we don't necessarily need to be set as the sponsor per se. That's just, it's the fiduciary responsible party, right?
Yeah, but Tom, this Father Marcel, I think it's a good idea. I guess I'm surprised that we don't have a template to work with. And perhaps the city has never been behind something like this. I don't know, but it almost as though we're doing, new stuff type of thing. I'm surprised we don't already have an official nonprofit attached to the city that can do these kind of things. I don't know, because I'm just thinking in the future, God willing, we'll continue to have events, and it'd be cool if we're attached to someone, we can just continue to use whatever that nonprofit is. But otherwise, this is going to come up at every event,
And Los Amigos de Guadalupe can be that entity. I just need to double check with the board that nobody's concerned about that.
So for other events, we have Guadalupe Lions has been the that sponsor, for example, the trunk or treat, and also when we've done in co-partnership with Kiwanis, and we've done the booths there, we have vendor forms, but we state we're the agency that's sponsoring or helping this event and taking in the funding and all of that. So it just up in the air what our festival committee would like to have
Okay.
that group.
And we
I
do
think,
have.
I think whatever group it is, it should be for everything. The parade, the festival, you know what I mean? It should be, that's the entity that everything goes through. That way they have all the bills, they have all the payments, and that way from an auditing perspective, you have one set of books that can be given at the end of the process.
And as far as the vendor applications, we have that. They'll be very easy to convert to our purpose, and also the parade application. It's all inclusive, so I can share that with you. We can just tweak it instead of having to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah,
and
I already have.
You have? Oh, good for you.
Yeah, I have the one from yours.
Okay,
Yeah,
and the thing is that for vendors, we always had them. We invited them free of charge to have, especially nonprofits. The nonprofits I'm speaking about, we didn't charge them, but the ones for profit we do charge. So just FYI.
Yeah.
Jose, does the Lions have insurance to do that?
That would be in case the Lions were sponsoring that. We could get insurance through Lions Club International, but it would have to be the Lions Club sponsoring the event. And we, that's the way it works. Did I answer your question? Was that Christina asking the question?
Sorry, I couldn't unmute. Yes, that was my question. If the Lions did, would they have access to get insurance for that?
Right. Yeah, but we would have to be the sponsoring. The Lions would have to be sponsoring the whole event.
Yeah. So putting that aside, do we want to go to, if there's no more questions about from the festival side of it, can we go to the parade side? Anything to report?
Actually, I haven't had a chance to meet with the committee. As you know, I was out of town for all of last week at a state convention, a Lions State Convention in Reno. So we will be meeting hopefully soon, the next 2 or 3 days. My discussion with Tom, it was that in closing the street, what I'm talking about, Highway 1 Guadalupe Street, we would close it at the same point that we've been closing it for years for the Fiestas Patrias. That would be Main Street and Highway 1. It will be closed all the way to 12th Street. That way the traffic would reroute it through Obispo Street out to 12th Street and vice versa. So that would be it. Now the hours that Tom and I discussed would be to make it safe. We would put the event hours would be 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That'll give us sufficient time to do what we have to do. I'm not sure that I don't think Caltrans will. I don't think it'll be a problem with Caltrans if we explain to what we're doing. So that's in a nutshell what was happening right now. So as I said, I'm working on the application, so the permit. All right. Any questions?
Jose, has there ever been any problems in the past regarding congestion on Obispo Street, either from the city's end or from the state's end?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question. Any problems with what?
Yeah, any problems with traffic flowing down Obispo Street? In other words, when you close one and you reroute traffic in another route, in the past, has there been any problems at all, either with the city or the state? Have there been any issues with that?
No issues at all.
Oh, that's great.
You know, the big rigs have to go through Obispo Street, and
Thank you.
that can get a little bit hectic. But other than that, no problems.
And Jose, this is Garrett.
Yes, Garrett.
Just wanted to make sure, I know it was touched on in a previous meeting, but that we are going to be able to have some sort of traffic control help at that intersection of 166 and Obispo, especially coming across the street from the Pasadena development. There have been a number of accidents now because there is no four-way stop there. And with all the traffic being rerouted from 1 down Obispo, having traffic control there will be certainly helpful.
That is a good point there. I hadn't really thought about the Pasadena crossing, but you're right. No, we are going to have to recruit volunteers. The city, let me preface that by saying the city has been really good about helping us close down the street. They have all the barricades. They put them up the night before, and then when we're ready to close the street, they put them up. But we are going to need volunteers, especially in the case that Garrett's mentioning, to make sure that we have people crossing that street safely, and especially the traffic's going to be doubled or more. So you have a good point there. But the other thing that the city has been really good about, including their police explorers, their group, which help out the regular officers in terms of making sure that there's security along the parade route as well as at the festival. So thank you for bringing that up.
Sure.
The committee did touch that if we did the open streets, that there would be can't met 10,000 available, so we can do a contribution to the police explorers to help us with that.
On that note, that raises a question I have. I think it was brought up at one of our committee meetings. This is Father Maceo. What expenses do we expect to have in regards to the city providing their services, whether it's police, whether it's fire, whatever it is? I've worked with cities before, and each city's a little different, but do we expect, are we expected then to pay the city for services, and how much? Do we have any idea how much that's going to be? How much has it been in the past? Any ballpark figure? Especially if we get that 10,000. I mean, I think we need to do our part and pay that. So anybody have any information on that?
I can reach out to Michael Cash and get some kind of a number for this group if you'd like me to do that.
Yes, so putting on my city council hat on now, in terms of being, fiscally responsible, and in terms of this event, I think it would be nice to have some type of cost recovery for our city, for those services, for having extra officers on board. So if we could have maybe ask Chief Cash if he has maybe some ballpark between the times of we're looking at 12 hours. So having staff available, and what that cost might look like to our city.
In regards to the explorers, we typically give a donation to the Explorer group under Sergeant Frank Medina. So he's the one that's in charge of the Explorer group. So we do give a donation. As far as a permit, I believe we pay like $80 for the permit for the city. But other than that, it's not hasn't been that expensive. Unless things have changed.
We had a cost of about 2,000 when we did the open streets for the police department. And I shared the breakdown of those costs with Chief Cash last year when we were planning the open streets event.
And that was, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Do you mind introducing yourself? Some people might not know you and how you've helped with open streets before.
Yeah, my name is Alma, and I used to, I think I know pretty much everybody, but if I don't know you, I used to work for 20 years for the organization called Little House by the Park, which is an organization that works with families of the Guadalupe community that have kids in the school district. And so as part of that, we organized an open streets event in Guadalupe back in 2015, where we closed down 3 miles of Guadalupe from the Riverview complex on Cesar Chavez all the way to Mary Buren School. And we, created a route for people to ride bikes and have booths and music. It was our first year event. And, a lot of the groups that are here participated in that event. And so I'm hopeful that you'll be remembering of it. And I think it's an opportunity to do something similar in that, it'll be a community-wide project. And, it'll be highlighting the wonderful things about Guadalupe and, just getting to reacquaint ourselves once again. So like I said, we work together with all the organizations in Guadalupe. So I'm familiar with some of the, with all the costs and the planning and the, organizing. And so I'm open to, helping out or answering questions or of what we did and what the costs were and, what everything that it entailed too.
Okay, any questions for the parade committee? Otherwise, we'll go to the sponsor committee. Or sorry, promotions committee. Shirley?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing people. Okay, parade committee, the promotion committee. I have the format that I will send to Padrecito if he wants to start getting that out as a save the day. We're just waiting until we get responses to see if we get some sponsorship out of that as people respond to the blurb sent out. I understand there's a fair amount of chatter on social media now, so it will be good to get some more official going. We're hoping to have a meeting next week. Trying to get everybody on the same page is almost impossible, but we're trying. And I think that's the best we can do at the moment until things are a little more firmed up.
Okay, any questions for the promotions?
When we say promotions and taking in money, would that again be that second party?
Yes.
I'm sorry if that was directed to me. I did not hear it.
Shirley, the question was if the promotion committee is doing the sponsorship, that would mean that money is coming in, and would it go to that same entity that would be crucially responsible for the event and be the sponsor?
No, would be only a comment on there asking them to enjoy, and we can drop sponsorship, just let them reply, and then when the reply comes back to the festival committee, they can go for the sponsorships then.
This is Father Maceo. I guess, Shirley, I'm a little confused. It seems as though we're linking together promotion and sponsorship. So when I think of promotion, I think of marketing, et cetera. And there's just so many different things we can do right now in terms of, which I think we already touched on upon that. And if you're okay with that, Shirley, I'll go ahead and run with the marketing of Save the Date. I'll make sure I'll go through committee chairs and you guys are, are cool with it and you're okay. But in terms
I'll have a form to you tonight.
Okay, I don't, okay, thank you. In terms of sponsorship, I don't know exactly what you guys have in mind. So, I mean, there are large sponsors we can go to, of course, corporations, private corporations that are out there that might want to underwrite this, et cetera, banks, whatever. Or I don't know what you have in mind, Shirley, when you say sponsorships, which are—
I don't know, that was in the description of the promotion committee.
So just to back up and answer that question, these were just starting points that I put down. The sponsorship doesn't necessarily have to be in promotions. It was just put there to put it somewhere. I figured once the committee started, they would take on their responsibilities themselves and make the, make that list bigger or smaller. And that this meeting would be to serve this purpose of who's doing the sponsors. My concept of a sponsor is the sponsor gives some funds to the event, and then their name or names, if there's multiples, are mentioned on the program if we have a program for that day. They're mentioned on the website and posted on the website. They're mentioned on the flyers when they go out that these are sponsors. So it's, if you want to sponsor this event, your name gets on everything that goes out. If that sponsorship belongs somewhere other than promotions, that's fine.
Possibly for the Open Street Festival Committee, since I guess they're going to be determining what is available at the event.
Makes sense.
Yes, CHC actually already requested a letter for their presence, so that might have to fall under us.
Yeah,
Makes sense to me.
So the sense is that when we're talking about sponsors, that should be moved to the festival committee.
Well, Father Marcel, it could be. I mean, my sense is, again, I think if you look in past organizations, they've already reached out for sponsors. Like, for example, Alma probably has some great connections, who has already stepped in. You have local sponsors, etc. So I'm just wondering if that'd be really nice if we could all throw some ideas, maybe to one person, or I'm not sure how to do it. I'd hate to overload anybody, much less myself. But if we could all submit potential sponsors and maybe a contact person to one person, that would be nice. But somehow gather names. I'm sure everybody out there has one or two names you can think of off the top of your head who might underwrite this. But I think one of the first things that needs to be done is a budget. We don't even know what our budget is. So once we have a budget, we're going to know what's going to cost what. So it's kind of hard to start even asking for money until we know what we need the money for. And, that's nice if we get that 10,000, but that's going to go up pretty quick depending on what we plan on doing. I know I'd like to see a nice organized event with some good entertainment. So the sooner we come up with a budget, let's just say the whole event costs 20,000. Well, then we have a sense of what to ask for or more. So I just want to put that out there. I think it's really important to come up with just kind of a generic budget in terms of what we're going to be paying to approach people. So I'll leave it at that.
My idea was that we would get out the save the date, and I would use that save the date to pass to people that organizations that I think would sponsor. So,
okay.
That was my thought anyway, was I was going to go find some sponsors anyway. But I think you're right. I think the idea of needing a budget, it's a chicken and the egg. So I'm kind of the opinion that maybe we should be getting budgets. So is it feasible to ask the committees to come up with a budget?
Alma, if Alma's up for it, I can help her and Lily. We can create a budget.
Yeah, Catherine, Christina, and I, we could work on something. Plus, I'll pull out the budget from the last event, and then we can cross out things we don't need, or what have you. We started last year with a donation from Dignity Health. They provided us an $18,000 donation, and People Self-Help Housing also provided a donation for our community event, and as well as who else was there? There was a few other organizations that I have to look it up, and we can start with any of the organizations that are involved in this. If they want to provide a donation to the event, I think it's a good start. And then just, I guess we can go from there. I'm happy to help out with that.
Were you saying that you would do the budget for all components, festival, parade? And
I can do a preliminary budget, and then we can share it with the committees, and the committees can decide, well, we don't need this, we need that, we do need, because obviously this is a different event, and there's going to be new different things that people are going to want and not want from the previous event. So I think it's a good start because it gets people talking as to what's needed and what's not needed, and things that might be forgotten about or not considered. So,
another item that we can look for in terms of sponsorships, I know there might be some businesses who would like to use this as a marketing event for themselves. And so to be able, maybe we can offer that type of sponsorship. Hey, you're for $25 or $50 or whatever the cost is. We could say you can put up your business sign along Highway 1 during our event for these hours. And it's a sense for those businesses to be able to promote themselves and for us to get some type of income for our event.
This is Jose with the comite, and you're right on in terms of Mechanics Bank. I mean, they could be approached to be a sponsor. Some of the growers and some of the packing plants. The other thing that I was thinking is there's some unknowns. For example, when we apply for a permit to close down the Guadalupe Street, they charge us $490. Now, there's a possibility, I've heard, I'm not sure, that the city can have the Caltrans waive that amount. That's $490 we're saving. So just as an FYI.
Alma,
Mateo, how are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you here. I got a question just off the top of your head, and I know you know the answer. What did it roughly cost when you guys did Las Calles Abiertas or whatever that event you guys had? What was your expense off the top of your head?
It was 20,000, but the difference was that we did hire a coordinator, and obviously the majority of the cost goes to
Right. Okay.
the labor.
Thank you. And what did you bring in off the top of your head? Do you remember anything even close to that?
How much money we brought in?
Yeah.
Yeah, we brought the money that we needed to cover it, the 20,000.
Oh, cool. So 20 went out and 20 came in.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Right on. Good for you guys. Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sure.
Left the church?
So it sounds like, man, I was all getting all nervous.
Sounded doom.
We have to be somewhere, somebody. So we'll put something together, Christina, and we'll share it by Monday. I think we can try to share with the committees and see where to go from there, and then just get the feedback from everybody of who we should solicit for donations.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, and I'm assuming that it'll be, we can put together a letter on behalf of Los Amigos once Thomas finds out if it's okay to use that as the nonprofit fiscal agent. Thomas? He's still here?
He might have stepped away. I think that should be fine. I think that was the end of his agenda. I don't know. Oh, there he is.
Sorry about that. Somebody came knocking on the door and it ended up I had to answer the door. Sorry, where were we?
Oh, I was just saying, once we get the list of sponsors, I could work with you to get a letter together if it's okay to use the Los Amigos name for, soliciting sponsorships.
Sure. I think there seems to be a large question about getting somebody as an organization to be the conduit for funding. And I'm wondering if we can think about that between now and next week and make a proposal on what entity that should be, because there's the Lions Club, even the Little House, there's Los Amigos de Guadalupe, and I can check with the board prior to next week to see if they were okay with it, and that would also give everybody else a chance if any other nonprofit wanted to play this role. But I think it's an important role because when you ask for sponsors and they want to write a check, you're kind of stuck until you have an answer to that.
Yeah, yeah. And previous events, in the previous event, what we did was we had a joint, group that was working together, as I mentioned, the Dune Center, People Self-Help Housing, the Little House, and everybody took a different role. The Dune Center housed the position, and the Little House, was the fiscal agent, and and then, as I mentioned, just everybody had, like, I believe it was People Self-Help Housing that got the insurance, and so it was sort of a joint nonprofit effort.
Sounds good. And we might be able to split it up that way, but it just seems like we probably should we should probably sort that out.
Yeah, definitely.
Quickly. There was a proposed name, and I'm thinking since we're putting together the website, I wonder if we should continue to what that name was. I think we had talked about it. Shirley, do you remember what it was? It was actually here.
Pardon?
You remember
Say
the
again?
name, what we were going to name the event?
Guadalupe, semicolon, a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, a diamond in the rough, because it's a diamond, that's it. I think if we're still good with that, which I think everybody was when we brought it up, it seems to me that should be the title on the web page, top of the web page, right?
Makes sense. You want to have continuity in branding and continuity in your marketing message.
And we'll use that on the save the date as well.
There you go.
Wait, just to clarify, Tom, am I hearing you say call the domain Diamond in the Rough?
No, just when they get to the domain, the
Oh, of
title
course,
at the
yeah.
top would be.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Is there anything else?
I wanted to bring something up. Most of you are familiar with the Rigetti High School Marimba Band, which has been performing at our festival for over 40 years. And the band, the Marimba Band and Folklorico, are composed mostly of, well, at least 50% Guadalupe students. I think that if you all are comfortable, I would alert the director, even though school may not be in session, to the possibility of having them participate in the parade or at some point, if not the parade, playing as part of the activities for entertainment. So if everybody's good with that, I'll contact Ricardo Abaldon, who's the director. Just that thought came to me that school sessions are kind of iffy right now, so they need time to practice if they're going to perform. So that thought just came to me. Any questions?
Sounds great.
Well, I'm just wondering though, Father Maceo, if we should act on invites just yet, just to make it fair with all potential artists and musicians, etc. I don't know if we want to start invite. I guess the only thing that I think makes it tempting is, you're correct, they are finishing school and this might be the time to connect with their students, but I just don't know if we're there yet as a group to start inviting particular artists just yet.
This would not be an invitation. I'm just going to just give them a heads up that that's a possibility. I'm not. It's not going to be an official invitation. Just let them know it's happening, and if we come to the point where we would like to have them perform, then that they already know. It's kind of like save the date.
That's a really good
that's a
point.
great idea.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that we should have a couple save the dates, one that goes to the general community and one to potential people, organizations that we are going to want to invite, because they need to also save the date. So I think that's a really good point, Jose, that we get, that save the date out to like something that has wording that's specific, you know, your organization is invited, please save the date.
And
With the
I think,
open street concept, I thought it would be a great idea because there's so many musicians that want to actually play here. We had brought it up that possibly there could be 2 areas that they can play at. It doesn't have to just be one.
sounds good. I think, you know, the people in the room today are going to know a lot more people than one person in this room knows. So the fact that we have a save the date and everybody can take that save the date, which I'll spread out to everybody in these meetings, they can then send them off, knowing that if, for example, you've got somebody who wants to do the festival and do an entertainment, you pass them on to the festival group. But passing the word out should be as much as possible to as many people as we can possibly get it out to.
The good thing is that we've had a lot of practice with COVID of canceling. So people are used to canceling or making it virtual. So it should be good.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine.
Jose, I was thinking back to the folklorico, etc. Won't you be using them in September? Will you be having 16th of September, or have you even thought that far ahead?
No, we're not planning the Fiestas Patrias this year.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're concentrating on helping you all.
Okay. I just didn't want to overuse them.
No, thank you. Thank you for asking, though.
Thank you, Jose. I have a, just want to affirm what was mentioned before, and I apologize, I don't remember the name, but you also were at the festival gathering, and you had suggested also that we have 2 stages. And I just wanted to say that I think that's a great idea. And I look forward to coming up with some type of layout. We don't just only have to have 1 stage there where the gazebo is. And I think back of what the Salad Festival did a number of years ago. So thank you for mentioning that. I think it's a great idea. We're not necessarily limited just to 1 stage. And depending on how many people show up, there's some creative stuff we can do with the entertainment part. So thank you.
We just need to remain cognizant of the power situation, because that was one thing that was brought up, was that the gazebo has power, but we might not have power at a different location.
Yeah.
And a side note, Father Maceo, I direct messaged you my email and my phone for the web stuff. So you should see that in the chat.
Right on.
Okay, everyone, I think we're done. Same time next week, 2 o'clock. We'll go over these things again and see where we are. In the meantime, if we get a save the date out, I'll make sure that finished save the date goes to everybody who's in this room now and everybody else who's been in these meetings, so that they have a chance to see it.
I guess I do have another suggestion, just because Ken is a first sponsorship and Lupe, should that be on the save the date? Since we have 2 sponsorships already for this event.
Who's the 2 that we have already?
Alma, can you remind me the name? If we did the Open Street Festival. Well, I'm not sure if she's here.
Kent from SlowCAG, or not Slow, SBCAG.
Oh, I see what you're saying, the Open Streets Park, yes.
Yes, since they are investing the 10,000 into our event.
So it's the Open Streets. We can ask them what they want to, what title they want to be on the save the dates. But there's somebody said there was another one.
Lupe Alvarez mentioned that he would donate $750 to our event.
That's right. I'll check with Lupe if he wants to put his name out there on the save the date.
Add a 0 to that.
We should check into SBCAG as well, what else we need in order to incorporate this and have it as an open street, if they need an application for us to fill out and all of that.
Yeah, well, based on that, let me ask you a question. Should the save the date have them on there if we haven't actually gotten to the point of signing up?
So I talked to Ken and Alma, and Ken said as long as we had that, just what he outlined. He actually wanted to be invited to this meeting, but I don't think anybody included him.
Afternoon.
I'll check because he.
Hello?
It's kind of.
Oh, Kenny called me back in a little bit. We're still talking. Thank you.
Yeah, I had an email from him and he just said, as long as that open street and I think it was a mile stretch we had for people to use on. But hopefully if Tom, you can connect with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is Charlie with Rec Department. Let me throw something else at everybody, just so that we're all on the same page with respect to a timeline here. We're right now the 28th or 27th. The City Council, once this plan is formulated and applications are submitted, permits are approved, police departments, the safety departments all on board. All of that has to be submitted to the City Council for approval because we're using city facilities. City Council is going to meet twice in June, and at this point, twice in July. The event is going to happen before the first City Council meeting in August. So technically, the information that needs to be given to the City Council for approval should at least be done by the middle of July at the very latest, so that any issues that come about need to be resolved with respect to the event itself. So we're looking probably at June, making sure everything kind of comes into focus here. So finding out exactly who the sponsor is, who's going to be the fiscal domain or whatever, all these different issues are really needing to be worked out in the month of June, which is right around the corner. So I wanted to throw that out so that everybody understood that there is a timeline here that we need to be very cognizant of.
Appreciate that, Charlie.
Thank you.
What's the date of the council meeting in June?
June
The council
8th?
meetings in June are the June 8th. I'm sorry, Liliana, go ahead.
No, go for it.
It's June 8th and the June 22nd. Those are the two council meetings. There's also a possibility, and I'm not sure whether I should be speaking for Todd, but there's also the possibility of organizing a special meeting of the council for particular items, basically. So, but that's not the norm.
Yeah, this is Father Marcelo. It'd be nice to submit something to the council as soon as possible.
Yep.
You know, maybe even at the latest by June 22nd at that council meeting, as opposed to waiting to July. That can become kind of difficult. Also, just in terms of some of the previous discussion, I think we're bogging ourselves down in terms of who the sponsors are going to be and should they be on the save the date. The whole idea of save the date is to make a very general commitment to a date that we know, in fact, we're going to be doing. So it's working with the minimum. We're committing ourselves to having something on that date, and exactly where we don't know. But I think we just have to be careful before we start putting down sponsors and complicating things. I don't think we need to have specific sponsors already in hand before we do the save the date.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you because I think there are going to be lots of opportunities. I think we need to settle our issues, settle that we are open streets, and then we need to get them on the website with their stuff. I think Lupe will not be screaming annoyed that he wasn't on the save the date. And I'm not even sure, knowing Lupe, whether he even wants to be acknowledged for it either. So I'm in agreement with that. You know, we're going to have a lot more sponsors by the end of this, and we'll need to have places to put them on, you know, the program for the day and on the website and flyers.
This is Jose with Comité. So Lily and I have had a conversation. We do need a letter from the City Council to the Caltrans saying that they are okaying the event. So Lily and I are working on that.
Does that need to go to council for resolution or just a letter?
Well, as far as I know, the letter is sufficient, telling Caltrans that this event's going to take place, and just, you know, making sure, verifying that the city is behind this event. That's my understanding.
So possibly what we can do is just have you know, a very, like, to present to council, say this is the idea, to have a festival and a parade going along the same route as we have for our Christmas parade. The time frame is tentatively 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. This is what we're submitting to Caltrans. Details can be, you know, going along maybe as we go, discuss it and then see what council says or asks for following that. And that can be something.
Does the letter need to be to council?
Sorry?
The letter that's going to go to Caltrans that they need from the city, does that have to go to council? Or can Julian, can Mayor Julian or Todd sign a letter?
I've actually sent letters, you know, that have gone out without going to council, but, you know, because I just know that they're going to support it, and it could be in the mayor's name, and even Lily could be a signer on it if she wanted to. But if you want, we have time to get to the council as well.
Yeah, so I think if we could do something just for the June 8th, just have it soon, present it. This is an idea from this group. These are the parties involved, you know, who's participating. These are, you know, what's sort of working towards. We would like a support letter, and then hopefully be able to submit that to Caltrans. From once we get that permit submitted, we will be able to know if we are moving forward with the closure of Highway 1. If not, then we'd have to go back to council anyway, maybe to close some other smaller street or something like that.
And maybe Liliana, you can assure the council and the city in terms of liability issues that we will be seeking insurance one way or another. That's probably the biggest concern of the city, our liability issues. So just make sure that they feel comfortable.
And I'll check too what it would cost if we were to, you know, pay for that insurance rider or whatever. I have that email already sent, and I'll see what that would cost from our standpoint if you can't get insurance somewhere else.
So the other thing is, for it to go to council on the 8th, we have to put something on the agenda by tomorrow.
June 8th?
Yeah. This Friday, we can get it on calendar, but if you need.
No, it's next week, right?
Yes, June
June
8th.
2nd, June 3rd.
So
we have to at least get it listed on there. I mean, even if it was just a staff report and then to authorize a letter or something. I don't think it has to be a full-blown resolution, but we could do that.
No.
Just because staff reports and resolutions are due tomorrow for the June 8th meeting is what Tom's saying.
Got it.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody have any other questions, comments, concerns?
Well, I guess just figuring out who the entity or entities are going to be taking on for the fiscal for each component, whether that be sponsorships, the parade, or the festival. Hopefully we could figure that out